Hello everyone, I hope everyone is well. You're having a good weekend. Got 4 people here. I'll just grab the old comments section and do some sharing. If you want to join me in sharing, that would be absolutely amazing. Today we're going to be talking to Jesse CRAIGNOU about the human brain. This is actually its second attempt. First attempt was troubled with our connection problems on this end. We're actually the greater network of Yorkshire, so not just that, not just ours, not just ours. We've got it plugged in. But we're talking about human brain. Guys, think about paranormal as well. In comments, the amount of things we go, we'll just put it down to human brain making it up. Really? Human brain gives us the experience of life, in effect. So, are we using an excuse? What kind of excuse are we using? So one example is like pareidolia. Oh, it's your brain. It looks for patterns. It's found something. It makes, But at the same time, what if spirits or aliens, the only way of communicating to us is through those kind of networks or systems in his brains? These are some good questions, but we're going to look at a lot more than that. Kirsty Coles, how you doing? I'm fine, Kirsty. I'm just sharing along. Kirsty there. Oh, and we will be inviting Craig on, Jesse on, Jesse CRAIGNOU. We'll be inviting Jesse CRAIGNOU on very soon. Hi, Daryl. How you doing? Irene, how you doing? We're talking about the human brain. And then we're thinking about, I'm also going to think about paranormal and the amount of things we put down to the human brain. Even though everything we experience is through his brain. So, are we just using an excuse? Yes, please introduce Jesse into the room, please. Hi, Jesse. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. I hope you're all fine. It's really great to be back. I was beginning to lose hope here, but it seems like Richard Branson's got his act together back again. So we got cable and fiber in Yorkshire, which is great. Thanks, Rich, by the way. And yeah, we're gonna have a great evening, I think. Anyway, my hand is looking fine. It's a bit chilly here. I don't know what it's like in Yorkshire at the moment.
Do you know what?
You got an Indian summer?
It's warmed up a bit. It's actually quite
nice.
It
has here.
Yeah. So
excellent.
I hope everyone's. I mean, Nigel Porter apparently is from North Pole. It's really cold there. I've introduced subject to people. Daryl has put, brain cells can be very dangerous. We've all got special when tired. Like I said, yeah. So when we're tired and we've got lack of sleep, as experience of life becomes different. There's a lot of things with human brain, isn't there? And I was just saying to people, with paranormal, we put a lot of things down to, oh, it's your brain making it up, or it's pareidolia, your brain looks for patterns. But what another side to look at it from me is, what if that's all they've got to communicate with us? What if they've got to work through that and things? There's a lot to look at with human brain, and I think it's a great subject, mate. Irene says it's warm here, but it's cooled off a little bit, and that's in Japan. Oh, Irene. Kirsty says hello, Jesse. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. Glad you could come in and join in the fun. Yeah, we'll be talking about the brain, as John just said. Sad thing about the brain is it takes one to know one, so we can only let in people who have one. We've got our brain bouncers at the door, so be careful. Welcome to those who can stay.
Yes, definitely. I mean, and there is that as well. Some say there's only a bit of brain that we use, but maybe we just don't understand the rest of the brain that's active. Some people might use less of the brain than others. I I've definitely experienced that. Sometimes it's even me. But there's a lot of things we put down to brain. You're not using it enough. You're using too much. There's other things as well, like people in comas that have been known to take in the outside. They're actually aware while in the coma for years. That sounds awful to me, because one guy, he said, I was aware all the way through my coma. And I'm just thinking how bored and how much of a prison that could seem like. Stuff like that with brain, it amazes me, and I know we haven't figured it all out yet. Irene, some people really don't have a brain. It's a figure of speech. Or maybe they just don't.
I'll back you right there, Irene. Yeah. Daryl, I wonder, John, do you snore when your brain's ticking over while you're sleeping? Oh, well, we have to ask his wife about that one, Daryl.
Well, yeah, I do snore. Yeah. but I dream a lot as well. But at the same time, I've heard some people, when they're sleeping and the snoring wakes them up, they have a little dream in that time. Jesse, please let us know what do you think is going on here?
Always wanted to know about your brain and never dared ask, or almost everything, if not. Yeah, interesting note you made there, John, about the NDE and what goes on with the brain while people are going through an NDE. We could also talk, I don't think I've got this in my notes here, but we could also talk about people who suffer locked-in syndrome, for example. That is, for people who don't know yet what it is people who are actually alive but cannot communicate with the outside world. Everything is locked inside themselves and they're continuing living. They may look completely brain dead or paralyzed, but they are not actually. There was over here in France a politician in the 80s who suffered from that, and he eventually got out of it, and he wrote a book about it. It's called The Butterfly something. The
Wow.
title escapes me. I'm not sure there's even an English version of the book yet, at least. But he explained what he was going through and how he was aware of everything that was going on around him, and he could not connect with them. He started blinking actually in one eye. That was the only thing he could do, and that was a kind of language he developed. And one of the nurses who was taking care of him in hospital realized that whenever she looked at him, he was blinking his eyes in a certain one of his eyes. I can't remember which one of the two. But he was blinking his eye like this, winking and winking and winking, and suddenly she realized there may be more than actually meets the eye, to coin a phrase. But and then she eventually understood that he was actually communicating, and that was the only way he could do. And from there on, they could progress until he was actually everything was all over for him, and he wrote a book. But like I said, it was about in the 80s, I think it was, late 80s. And that really got things moving with the medical field people. As they started, of course, I'm sure they partnered in some exchanges and experiments, I should say. And they got through that. I haven't actually followed it up. Yes, Kirsty, it's called sorry, Kirsty, it's not the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect is if you move something very slightly in Japan, the movement will amplify until it becomes a storm, for example, in Europe, by the time it gets around the planet through to Europe, or the other way around to America, for example, whatever. So that's what happens. That's called the butterfly effect. No, it's called the butterfly and something, I think, but really I can't remember it. Maybe if you ask me, I'll check it out. But like I said, I'm not sure there's even an English version of the book, actually, which is one. Yeah, John.
That is an amazing thing that he experienced, isn't it? I mean, I'm glad he wrote something down. The only book I've read like that is fictional. It's The Malibu Stork. Is it Irving Welsh?
Yeah.
Irving Welsh, Malibu Stork, and it's just. When I read it, it was a long time ago. It was a proper mind bending thing that just bent my mind when thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants to go through this, do they?
Oh no, no.
The Malibu Stork. I'm just making a note of that. Right. Can I start, John?
Definitely, yes.
Is everybody all sitting comfortably, relaxing with a warm drink? A nice cuppa, I hope. Oh, great. I got my water here. Anyway, yes, the brain. Lots of rap is going around about the brain. Most of it is wrong, as usual. But I'm going to try and set the records right for the brain, at least. So listen to me, your honors, and we will be talking about that. At the top of our head, we have a brain, which is actually organically merely a kind of twisted ball of fat. It's not very nicely looking or very sightly view, but there it is. That's what we have. Nobody really understands how the brain works, what it's there for, etc. We only understand through trial and error, most of which is actually accident. People who've had to suffer severe injuries through car accidents, for example, or birth defects, people born with only one hemisphere. You know, the brain's got two hemispheres, and people who are born with only one hemisphere. And of course, scientists go into that, or people who actually have brain cancer, and then they have to have one of the hemispheres where the cancer happens to be taken out of their heads. And this is really, really amazing, because by then, actually, the way the brain works as a whole is to have zones in the brain. One is, for example, taking care of speech, another one of sight, another one of hearing, another one of this, that, or the other. And then that's how it works. And of course, it's all in precise location in everybody's brain, mostly the same for everybody. But then when you have to let go of one half of your brain, the magic of the brain is that it actually moves, relocates, as it were, the missing zone into a new space. So you may look at the brain as a finished product, but in fact, it's never really finished, because it can adapt, transform, relocate. It's really, really amazing. I'm going to tell you more in a minute. Let me just get back to my notes and I'll tell you what I have here. I wanted to talk about the brain and ETs, aliens. Back from personal experience, back when I was 45, that was 15 years ago, I had to go and see a doctor because I could actually literally feel things moving in my head. The brain has no nerves ending, so we shouldn't feel what is going on in our brain, but I was actually literally feeling things moving in my brain. At the time, I couldn't understand. And so I went to see a couple of doctors and I told them that, and you know, they looked a little amused, thinking, oh, we've got Jinko. He's losing his marbles, the poor guy, which I wasn't. But anyway, they just politely said, oh, you know, this is probably stress and don't worry about it. I was really embarrassed to have to come to confess this to them, but as professionals, I felt I had to try and find an answer. My father had been through a number of strokes, and to be honest, I was really, which left him paralyzed for half his body, one side of his body, for 2 years until he fully recovered after daily exercises with multiple practitioners in multiple fields. And I really didn't want to go through that. And I was really genuinely very worried. But anyway, they didn't give me an answer. They didn't know what was going on. So they left me at that, and I just was left there basically to pray. This was before I started using my bioenergy again. And so I was really, really scared, and I was really, really panicking, because I thought, no, I will not have a stroke. That was what I was thinking every day. And 10 years later, I realized, and I heard about alien implants, the implants ETs actually put in our bodies. And I realized that was what was going on with me, actually. They were actually implanting me in my brain. And I thought I had to get rid of this. I didn't know what the first thing about them. And I thought, no, I really have to get rid of this. I do not want this in my head. And that's my final word. And I really endeavored and strove to try and find an answer. I didn't know where to start. And eventually I found people, and I started beginning to understand and actually realizing that implants are not all bad, even though they may be painful for some people. And I had to also help people, which I can do now, help people with that and coming to terms with that. Yes, John, you wanted to say something.
It can be worrying as well, can't it? I mean,
it was. I mean, I'm not a worried kind of person in the least, but I really was back then. I thought, no, I will not lay on a bed another 2 years with a stroke until whatever sends me back on the path of recovery. That was no way I was going to have that. I mean, it was absolutely unbearable for me to even bear the thought of it. That was not possible. So that was that. And eventually, thank you, John, for coming in. Eventually, I got over all this, and now I even help people who have problems like this, thank God. And, well, if you feel you have a need for something like that, and you may contact me like some people did in the last show, for example, and I can certainly try and help you with that if I can. Yeah. I want to talk about the size of the skull and of the brain, because it was said, it is still believed in many parts in the world today, that the size of the brain is connected to the intelligence of the person, which is absolutely completely wrong. Physically speaking, men generally have a larger body than women, and hence a larger skull and brain. Doesn't mean that either of the sexes is more or less intelligent than the other. It has nothing to do with size. You may have a small brain and be more intelligent than people who have a bigger brain around you, which was the case, for example, of Albert Einstein or Anatole France, the French writer. They had very small brains, and they were very brainy people too, if I may be allowed a pun here. And so don't worry if you think your brain is too small. What matters is what it does and how it works. Another common cliche that goes around about brain is people will tell you, we actually only use, journalists love this, for example, they will tell you, we only actually use 1% or 10% of our brain, which is total nonsense, especially since nobody will ever be able to tell you what is 100% of a brain. So how can we work out 10 or 1% of 100% we don't know? Well, that remains to be found to me, if you ask me. There's no way. No, it doesn't work like that. No, it doesn't make any sense either way. Whichever way you look at it, it just doesn't make any sense. No. Nobody on this planet in mankind is actually able to tell you what the brain is from A to Z, and how it works, what it does, what is its potential. Nobody can. I mean, I and some other people, and we are many on Earth, but not in the medical field, can tell you a lot about the brain, because we experience things that go way beyond what most people in mankind, among humans, will be able to experience. Yet they can come to that eventually, but certainly not yet. We experience things that are way out of this world. Now, going back to the medical and scientific field, I would like to say to all those people who like to liken, for example, the apes and humans, saying, we have a connection, etc. I'm going to do another show about this another day. We should do one, actually. But I have one called Planet of the Apes, which I may threaten you with one day or another, sooner than later. And but anyway, there is no real connection between apes and human, except that one man was created. There was certainly some DNA that was used, which is also found in apes, but your DNA is about 1% close to that of a hunting dog or a geranium, and it doesn't make you a geranium or a hunting dog or them human either. DNA is really very, very, very complex, at the same time very similar, and yet no matter how small the difference is, it is still universes wide between one living creature, whether vegetal or animal. Doesn't make us 1% difference
could be like 2 million separate different switches being different, turning off a load of different characteristics that make one thing totally different to another.
Exactly, and the brain is mobile. It can grow, it can adapt, it can develop connections. In fact, the more we use it, the less we lose it. So we better use it as much as possible, because that's the way it works, and that's the way to keep young as well, in our mind, and etc. Well, I can develop that a little later if you like. And so that's what it is. Don't worry, you're not using 1% or 10% or even 100% of your brain, although we should all actually use 100% of our brain. But it certainly has a lot of potential. The brain is really amazing, believe it or not. Our brain is really, really amazing, and we could do so much more with it than we actually do or even imagine we could do. The beauty of it, as I said, as John was also saying a minute ago, is that we actually can develop new neurons, new connections all the time. The more connections we develop, we create through using our brain and our intelligence, the more our brain can perform tasks, and the more difficult tasks our brain can perform. So go for it, boys and girls out there. You know, you've got everything going for you. So, we talked about, in the past, I think I brought this up in one of our shows, about the triune brain. Now, for people who may not know yet what the triune brain is, tri is 3, un is 1. So it's 3 brains in 1. Oh, this is a theory that was developed by some clever American, they're always Americans, a few decades ago, I think in the 70s, maybe 80s. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the first brain we have is that little ball we have at the back of the nape of our neck there, at the bottom back of our brain. It's called, excuse me, it's called the reptilian brain. It comes from reptilian aliens. It has its own properties. Cheers, everyone, by the way. It has its own properties. The properties of the reptilian brain are merely reactions and conditioning and sensual. For example, the sense of taste, the sense of hearing, of seeing, of smell. All these are connected to that. I'm going to give you an example in a minute to illustrate this a little better. The second brain we have is the part going back from the back of the head, if you like, coming back to the front until about here, just before our ears. And that part of the brain is called the Paleocortex, which means ancient brain. It is a product of natural evolution in animal brain, beginning with giving birth to the actual different races of mammals and animals with warm blood. Animals who only have, maybe people, animals who only have a reptilian brain, so reptiles and birds, for example, and fish, most of the fish, have cold blood. Now, warm blood comes with the second brain, the Paleocortex. It's also responsible for emotions. So these kind of animals normally live in families like humans, whereas reptilians, birds, and fish very rarely do. Some do, but not most of them. And so they have a little more intelligence development, but only to a very, very low level compared with humans. And that's when we reach the third and last brain, that is called the Neocortex, which means the modern brain, which is at the front of the head, in the forehead actually, which is only found in humans, which gives him a conscience of himself, emotions more complex, and creation, together with the faculty of anticipating, imagining, and we used to think dreaming, but we're now learning that a lot of animals apparently actually also dream.
Yep.
This helps define the psychological behavior of people, for example. When we have to work in psychological and psychiatric fields, it's really, really helpful. It is not a perfect science, we're now realizing, and we've been realizing in the past decades, that the actual boundaries, as it were, between one brain and another, and one type of people or animal and another, are actually shaking on their own ground and moving, which is also a sign of evolution in a way. So I might develop that in a moment also. I want to give you an example which I think illustrates this really, really well. I have a friend who is called, she's a lady who's a few years older than me, and we were talking about this a few years ago. Her name is Maddalena. And Maddalena told me, oh, but this is really horrible. You know, we behave like animals. I don't want to behave like this. I wish I could get rid of one part of my brain. And I said, oh, well, that's quite challenging, Maddalena. Which part are you thinking of? She said, oh, well, that animal there, you know, back at the back of my head, the reptilian brain. I really don't want to keep that. This is not me, and etc. And I said, okay, Maddalena, let me just give you an example. If I should be able to take that brain away from you, then you would be, for example, at one time in your kitchen cooking, preparing the family dinner, and you would, by chance or mistake, put your hand on one of the hot plates, which is really red hot, if not white hot, and you wouldn't realize your hand is there suffering and burning, and you would leave it there until it was burned to a cinder, and you wouldn't know it. And she said, oh my God, this is horrible. I said, yes, this is rather tragic. So I said, so she said, okay, well, I'll keep that one. But what about the paleocortex? I don't want to have the paleocortex left. But can I do away with that? I said, okay, let's just imagine for a moment that I can take that away from you, and you would be at home preparing the family dinner, expecting your children to turn in any minute, your husband to come back from work. And the minute they would walk into the flat, you would jump on them, fight them, kill them, and probably eat them. And she said, oh my God, this is really horrible. Yeah, it's horrible. It is more than one would bear to think. She said, okay, I've got to keep that one. I said, well, you know, that might help. And so she said, right, okay, well, I'll keep that one as well then. And I said, I suppose you want to keep the other one too? She said, yeah, I'll keep the other one too. Now, peeps, this is the way I think we can best illustrate with a little humor why we need our whole brain and our whole brain to be all functional as it should be.
I read about a case where a doctor had to keep introducing himself to a patient. It might have been a onset of dementia, but one day he tried something. I think it was a bit out of norm. He put a pin in his hand, shook the hand at person, introduced himself, and since then that person remembered the name. And then from there they were looking at why. And it's because it triggered the survival part of the brain. I forgot total details, but I had that noted down to mention because the bit what's got the memory, would that be the front bit to do with the short-term memory, things like that?
I'm going to come to that in a moment, John. I promise. It is on my list of priorities.
Yeah, but basically, he kind of said he'd shortcut it, so it triggered the survival in this woman, and that helps. I mean, you don't want to keep hurting yourself just to remember, so it's probably not a great way of doing it, but it was a great example as well of different parts doing, you know, like you've said, there's 3 sections, and what can happen if you just activate that one at that time. It's amazing stuff. Thanks for the comments, guys.
More than amazing. I'm going to come back to that in a moment, giving you experiences of my own I have made. And actually, I wish I could work with a neurologist or a brain surgeon who would be crazy enough to compromise himself or herself Why not? And yeah, I'm going to talk about it today. Annette, I promise I will answer you in a moment. I have seen your question. It is about the blood group. Yes, I will answer. Oh, it's not what we're going to be talking about tonight, but in any case, I'm going to give you an answer because I have that answer. I happen to have it. So you're welcome to sharing it with me, or me to share it with you rather. Right. May I continue, John? Are we done for the moment? Okay, we have a lot to talk about as usual tonight.
Oh yeah.
People who know me know I'm not short of stuff.
Nope.
Now, brain and intelligence. Having a brain is not necessarily a sign of intelligence, although many may think so. A brain is merely an organ. If you don't put it to work and if you don't know how to use it, you're not going to get any or very few of the benefits of it. A brain is like a garden. You need to tend to it, to take care of it. If you had a garden and you really wanted to grow your flowers and your veggies, well, then you'd have to put a lot of work into it. That is what happens with the brain. The more you work with it and the more you make it work, the better it works, the faster it works, and the more it works. So you've got everything going for you. Anybody who has a brain out there, you've got everything going for you. Now, one of the greatest, I should say, or certainly biggest challenges for man, I mean, as mankind, is to develop and to tend to his own brain. We can really do a lot with our brain. I'm going to develop that again. This is not a promise. This is more a threat. In a moment, I'm going to tell you a little more about how to develop your brain. Although sometimes we need a break. Like anybody who works, who does a good day's work, they need a break every now and then. So that's the same. And the brain sometimes. But there are ways of actually working while relaxing and giving your brain a break while it is working. This is how amazing the brain is. You know, it just never stops.
Yeah.
Some people may think that, you know, they're not brainy, their brain is like a sieve and it's like DNA, you know, you have junk parts of the brain, etc. It is difficult to believe, really, and even to imagine, and certainly I wouldn't think like that, but I hear things all the time. And my recommendation, as always, is, you know, don't waste any of the resources you've got. God gave it to you, as the saying goes, now use it. And the best way, you know, is to, for example, study, get involved in things and with people. You know, you may take courses, you may experiment, you may go out in the wild and just do bird watching or nature watching or whatever you may do. You know, every little bit helps, and it's never, ever wasted. There is no science without conscience, and the conscience is something that is supposed to be connected to the brain, although we know now that our conscience is actually alien to us. It's not connected to the brain. As we said a moment ago, people who go through NDE, for example, those people's brain may look dead on the chart. You know, you have at the head of your bed in a hospital on the screen there, but in fact, it is working. We know, and John was reminding us a moment ago, that we know that those people are actually conscious, although they may appear completely brain dead, even to technology. So yeah, the brain is there. The brain is bigger than us. That's what I would like to say. It is bigger than us. That's why, as I was saying at the beginning, this is why and how we find it so difficult to understand the brain, because there's just so much to it and much more than actually meets the eye. And even modern technology doesn't even give us as many answers as we would wish we get. Excuse me, I've got something in my eye, everybody here. Don't know what it is. So anyway, so what's going to happen? How can our brain, help us evolve? When I was 10, I realized something. I'm now 60, almost 61. And when I was 10, I realized that the brain was really the seventh continent, as it was called back there. And that was how we were supposed to evolve. Now, funny enough, I was in a channeling session in a French program I was doing here with my partner, Stéphane, and we got to channel Nikola Tesla. And Nikola Tesla actually revealed something I had never told a soul. And he revealed this live when we were doing the session with him. And he said, I was there with him back then when man was created on Earth with the Anunnaki. And I was already at the time a brain specialist because I was obsessed with the brain and developing human brain, and which I had never told anybody, but I had always encouraged people to do it without actually coming out with it. And so he said, you know, dozens of millennia ago, I was already on the job. So it was really amazing. And I was really, really shocked to the core, but happy at the same time to know that somebody out there knew me, you know, and they could actually account for my track record of brain work. So there is a lot to do with our brain. Imagine if I've been working on it for tens of thousands of years. And that doesn't mean it'll take that much time for you too, but I mean, we can always try. Talking about brain, I want to talk about artificial intelligence as well, because this is one of the things that's been talked about for like the past 50 years, maybe more, maybe since the 60s. People who have watched the film AI or the Bicentennial Man, for example, Avatar, The Demon Seed. Now, Demon Seed is a film that goes back to 1977 with Julie Christie, who was one of those rich bourgeois women who actually got enslaved, as it were, by a robot, which was a brain that her husband, who was a scientist, had actually installed in their house, in their home, to help them with household duties and chores. And eventually she got completely enslaved by the robot. Well, it's a bit dated now, but at the time it was pretty scary. I remember I was a kid. I was 77. I was 17, and I got really scared just watching that film. But of course now we know better. It's one of those old dreams that man has, to be able to build a robot that will either replace or even surpass him, take over him. And you know, all those science fiction or space opera films we have, they always have that brain, that artificial brain that's talking to them, you know, like if Alien, for example, the brain of the craft is called Mother, you know, and they say, Mother, can you do this? Can you do that? Well, sadly, I wish I had one at home myself, actually, sometimes. Provided it played along my rules, of course. Now, just for a little bit of culture in passing, now we have robots. So all those robots helping us. Robot actually comes from a Czech word that is raboj, which means work in Czech language, and not human. It was introduced in literature and in science fiction back in the 70s by a Czech writer. The name of the guy escapes me, but he wrote this book and he started using that word raboj for artificial machines that would be doing things with for humans, as a mechanical kind of work. Like we have the Greys now with the aliens. Greys are not aliens. I repeat this. They are not. They are alien droids. They are organic droids. So they are actually alive like humans can be alive, except they're only doing a job, carrying out a duty that being set or asked to do. Some Greys now have been granted a soul, so they are going to evolve. They have been evolving already. In French, we say ordinateur for computer, which computer means the person, the thing that compiles, collects data. That's the word in English. In Italian, it's called cervellone, which means the big brain. But of course, none of these languages actually convey the idea that it is a machine. They liken it to a human. Only a human can compile, can collect data, store it, reuse it, etc. But this is only all mechanical. I've got a friend staying over at the moment, and he's a computer engineer. He could tell you a lot of things about that. Yeah, and he says he agrees. So much progress has been made in mechanical, industrial, scientific fields, but machine is machine and human is human. For the moment, you can still tell one from the other, no matter how advanced a machine may be, or how retarded a human may be, for example, or uneducated a human may be. Sadly, this still happens. But that's the way it goes. Now, ETs, aliens, also have organic crafts. Now, this may be difficult for a lot of you to imagine, but a lot of the spacecraft that they travel in are actually alive. They direct their craft through thought, and the craft respond to their thoughts and So that's what they are told to do, literally. And even when you go aboard a craft, for some people who may have been aboard an alien spacecraft, they may actually see that, for example, the space there is not divided as we may expect it in a house, in a flat, or on a craft, like you may have seen this on a plane or on a train. But the partition walls, as it were, are actually mobile. They can just reshape, as you can see in some films, for example, and the whole thing can be revamped in the bat of an eyelid, for example. It's really, really amazing. But that is really what I would call artificial intelligence, and I'm beginning to wonder whether it's only artificial, actually. But what about human intelligence? Now, we know that everything we put down or blame to our brain are not actually necessarily taking place in our brain, although they may appear to. We don't know where intelligence is stocked in the human body, for example. And we don't know yet. But apparently it's nowhere precise, or may not even be in our own body. We know that our soul is experiencing human and material and terrestrial life. You got something ringing, John, there? I can hear something beeping. I don't know where it is. Anyway, so we don't know where intelligence, where memory is in our brain or not. Imagine your brain box is like the modem you had on your computer a couple of decades ago, and that modem granted you access in and out of your life, as it were, and out of your brain, connected to the universal cosmic brain, if you may like it like that. And it is, again, this makes it all the more amazing. Although I would like to say that there are, now let me tell you this. In 2012, I went through a coma, a whole night through. I was in a coma, and ever since, like people who have experienced a coma, your recent and immediate memory goes. So this is really, really painful. This is really what happened to me, and I couldn't start a sentence and finish it in the one sentence because I was incapable, sorry, I should say, of doing that. And then I remembered that a wonderful plant called Jinko Biloba actually helped with memory, and I started using it, and it's done wonderful things. It's got many, many wonderful properties, and it actually works on that. Now, there is another one I've discovered since, which is called Bacopa, and apparently it's used in mostly Ayurvedic kind of medicine. That's Indian from India, I mean, medicine. And that apparently helps tremendously with people who have memory issues. Let me just write that down in my notes here. Bacopa.
But yeah, Jinkos. I mean, I've heard that used also for really helping anxiety as well.
Helping what, John?
Like anxiety and things like that.
Oh yes, one of the main Jinko Biloba is a magic wand, really, in one word. It helps you re-oxygen your blood, restructure your cells. Yeah, Annette, exactly. Restructure your cells, your body cells, all your body cells. Recover from poor memory or memory loss. It's got no end of uses. It is really, 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 like I said, a magic wand. You know, it's tremendous thing.
Yeah.
And Bacopa apparently, now I haven't tried it myself, and I really like to talk about things I have tried hands-on, which I haven't yet, but I will try next time, because I have to go back to Jinko about once a year for a few weeks, not long, but it really helps me when I start realizing that I start mixing my words, for example, or using one word for another, or mixing syllables or everything. I think, oh, okay, Jesse, it's time for your Jinko. Next time it will be back up. Yeah, that's a good idea, Irene. You can use it with DHA, although I think DHA would be enough, but DHA works a different way, but it has also some of those effects, yes. That and a few other things we can talk about later. Now, I haven't prepared anything about that tonight, but we can talk about this later, maybe in another show or something. We could do something.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one to cover, actually.
Yeah, we could do that, dietary supplements. And I mean, at least those I know. I'm not an expert, but at least those I know for having tried them or having people or recommending them.
Well. Yeah.
There's a lot of great things out there in nature. Now, we have people who suffer Alzheimer's disease, and they would really, really find a lot of benefits using Jinko Biloba, or maybe Bacopa, like I was saying. And these things are really, really amazing. The Jinko Biloba is one of the oldest plants on Earth. It's a big tree with wonderful leaves in a kind of split triangular kind of shape. It's green and turns yellow. It's really, really a beautiful tree, and it was already around back when the dinosaurs were walking the earth. Imagine, we're going back more than a few 100 million years ago. So that's saying how old it is, and it has survived. It survived, we know, for example, in Japan, that it survived nuclear bombing and etc. It's really, really amazing. So anyway, back to our brain. Our brain works in many, many ways. One of them is active, the other one is passive. Another way the brain works is hemispherical. So that is, one side of the brain is dedicated to some functions, skills, and tasks, for example, while the other one would specialize in the other. So you can use it globally, split it in the middle, or like I said in the Triune Brain, split it into three, from back to front or front to back, whichever way you like it. And it's got so many, many, many so much potential, so many opportunities, most of which are actually still unknown to date. But like I said, I'm going to tell you more. Lucky myself, that I believed in that seventh continent from the time I was only 10 years old, and worked on it, because 50 years later, I can tell you it was a good investment, and still going and growing. Get out of your comfort zone and put your brain to work, and you will see what wonders it can bring to you. I used myself everything I could use. There are good books telling you how to better yourself. One of them is by a guy, I'm not sure whether he was British or American, a guy called Ian Wilson. What was the title of the brain? Super Me or Super Brain or something like that. I'm sure you can find it somewhere, although it is very difficult to find now and can only be found in secondhand shops and on secondhand bookstores, online bookstores, I should say. There still is actually, but much less than in the past, a technique, I should say, an approach, for lack of a better word, called Scientology. Now, I know some people may even have a heart attack at hearing the sound of it, but at the beginning of Scientology, it was not what it has become. Yeah. The guy who put this together was a guy who actually experimented with the brain development, brain potential, etc. And it was really, really amazing. I've really used that. You don't need to take any kind of stuff one way or another, or not use any kind of stuff in particular, as if depriving yourself of using that. You don't have to believe or not believe in anything, any religion, any philosophy, any whatsoever. You just have to do some exercises. I talked about music therapy, and we will have a show on music therapy here if John and Philip let me.
Yeah, it's a brilliant thing, music and brain.
I'm twisting your arm there, John. Make a note.
I like it because the things that do in music.
Music therapy really works wonders. Really works wonders, and so that's one of the things we can use. There was a French teacher here in France, a woman, who was teaching pre-K school, I think, toddlers. And she was really interested in teaching in brain development and etc. She spent her nights, after her day's work, she spent all her nights going all over the internet. And I imagine she could understand a minimum of English, because most of what's written on the matter is actually in English and not in French. And remember, she is a French woman. And in any case, she found lots of amazing material. And to the point her kids, scored at the end of the year like they had done anything from 3 to 5 years more schooling than they had actually done. And so she contacted, being really good-hearted and everything. And she said, oh my God, I must really spread the word, and I'm going to contact the Ministry of Education, which was our boss because she was a teacher. And they told her this was all a whole lot of nonsense and she should stop, and eventually they sacked her. Wow. She wrote a book, which is only available in French to the best of my knowledge. But she wrote a book about all this, where she confided in everything she had experienced and the results. Everybody loved her. The parents were absolutely, they just loved her for doing all that for their kids, and all for nothing, just during the course of her own day's work, as it were. And, the stupid Ministry of Education could find no better answer than just sack her. God only knows what she's doing now. I hope she's doing something really good. Actually, I would tell her, Celine, she's called Celine Alvarez. I would tell her, should I meet her, I would tell her, start your own school now.
Yeah, please. Amazing. Yeah.
That's what the world needs, and I would probably be the one to put the first pound in the business as well. Yeah. But, what could we do? What could we say about all the skills of the brain we don't use, we don't know of? Well, we don't know. We have to find them out. To find them out, the only way is, do the digging and, start digging and doing the digging work and research and etc. and putting your brain to use, basically. Definitely. But the more, just one last thing about this potential is the further you push your brain, the further it takes you. So this is really, really amazing. Don't stop. Just start and you will never stop. Talking about my experience, I should say my experiences and my experiments even with the brain. If I focus on my pineal gland, now the pineal gland is here in the middle of the head, about here, in the middle of the brain, I feel immediately that my skull is actually different. I'm actually walking, concentrating, focusing on my pineal gland is like I'm walking into another dimension. My skull and my brain has got a different size, a different shape. It's really, really amazing, completely different. I'm an alien when I do that. I can see myself and I am complete alien. New waves are running through my brain and my head. It's really, really amazing. I feel better. I feel a surge of energy, a surge of happiness. My head is suddenly moving and working like mad. It's really, really amazing. And to talk about my brain and more experiences now, if I concentrate on some parts, remember John was telling us about parts of the brain and what they can be used to, for example, or useful for. Now, if I concentrate in the middle of my brain, but below the pineal gland, there, in the middle, at the top of our mouth, we have a bone that is like a hook, like this, two ways. Yep. hook. And this bone is called the sphenoid bone. And when I concentrate on it, I can actually mentally unhook it. And suddenly things start happening in my body and my brain. I go back to my reptilian being and I completely change my feelings, my sensations, my vibration change, and I can feel my body is completely different. Another thing I can do with my brain is if I concentrate, for example, and this time outside my brain, third eye here, and I move about 3 inches, well, 3 to 4 inches away from my forehead here in the middle, I get connected to other things, other feelings. I can fall asleep almost instantly. I can get feelings from my brain and my whole body and other dimension. It's really, really amazing. I would really love to find somebody, who can partner with me on this, and we could really do some great work, I'm sure. Great work.
That does sound interesting, actually, yeah.
Yeah, this is really amazing.
No, and
only I'm no scientist. This is not my field. I'm just merely experimenting as an alien there. Just playing with my alien.
It's great subjects, and it's research and study into it as well. I mean, the interlimit to that is that, I mean, people can research and study. So
that's the way I like to call it. Yeah, that's exactly the way I like to call it. That is what it is. What it actually is now. So that's one part of my the little things I like to play with. Power of the Mind by Joseph Worthy. Yes, Cliff, exactly. This is amazing. Only this is not to do with the brain. Oh, not originally with the brain, but yes, the mind is wow. Yeah. The brain is the organ. The mind is the power that works or should be connected to the brain. That's what I'm talking about tonight too. Thanks, Cliff, for the reminder. Yeah, Joseph Murphy. Yeah, but not only him, of course. If I remember, I'm going to give you a couple of references later on in the show. Now, just to continue with some of my experimentations with the brain, I was one of those people who was really, really precocious. I started walking and talking when I was 10 months old. Imagine my parents and the state they were in. But anyway, that's just me. I discovered many, many years later, of course, I was an adult by then, when I was never, personally, I felt never as good as when I was actually lying either on the floor or on the sofa or wherever. This gives me great power and a lot of new sensations. And also practicing, like a lot of kids do before they can actually stand up and walk, reptation, now crawling like a snake. Let me give you an example I saw on German television. It was really amazing. This program was on major disabilities, people with brain disabilities, dysfunctional brains, dysfunctional bodies, and etc. There was a Japanese woman there who was really followed because she had found out of the love she was giving her baby, who was 4 years old, couldn't walk, couldn't talk. He was crawling all the time. That mother, that Japanese mother, realized that her baby always wanted to crawl, and she was always watching him, and she was so desperate to do anything that would help him progress. Remember, he was 4 years old. He was behaving like a 9-month-old baby. And she was really, really worried. Nobody in the medical field could help her either way. So she was desperate. She was just grounded at home with that baby all the time. And she watched him. She made notes, mental notes about things. And she realized that her baby was progressing. The more he was actually crawling about the house, the more he was progressing, until he eventually got back to what we consider normal. I'm not sure if there is a normality one way or another, but
it's a tricky one, that one, isn't it? Normality.
Yeah. So this is something amazing, I think scientists should really go for these things. Sometimes they do some nonsense in their research, money should be put to better use than this. And I mean, that woman should be really, really, she is apparently in Japan, from what they were saying in that documentary. She's actually assisted by Professor professors and you name it in the medical field. And I really hope she is, because there's certainly a lot to be discovered there. But they are thinking that actually crawling like a reptile like this actually helps developing the brain. That's why I'm bringing them up in the show today. Also concentrating on some parts of my brain, I could feel my hands were palmed, you know, like having skin between the fingers and the toes, also if it were the feet. And I don't know why I always did this sign. It's got something to do with my brain, but I haven't found out yet what it is. If I concentrate on another part at the back of my brain, I really feel like a kind of reptilian frog, as it were, and I can see myself flying a spacecraft going to Earth. I don't know what it means or whatever. I know that I have 4 fingers only, not 5, and I have 4 toes on my feet. And I have like suction pads at the end of my fingers and toes. It's really amazing, but I could never go any further than that. I last year, just over a year ago now, early July 2020, I think, I had, no, it was this year, sorry. It was this year. I got through a channeling session with Stefan again. I got through a channeling session. We got connected to E.T. frogs. It was really amazing. And I realized we were connected, and Stefan is more connected than myself even. One afternoon again, concentrating on another part of my brain, I suddenly had visions of myself as a reptilian female, black reptilian female in a forest. I was hatching my eggs. I had 3 eggs, and they were just about to hatch, and suddenly the forest got set ablaze, and I had to run away. And to run away to take my eggs, I had to put them in my mouth as I was running away. And suddenly, while I was running, I broke 2 and I dropped the 3rd one. Suddenly, just above me, a spaceship arrives and lands to rescue me, catches me, extracting me from the flames, drawing near me. And at the end of that vision, I find myself in a really kind of Amazonian type of forest, but very, very cold, very dark. And there is like a kind of log cabin there, and that's where I find my escape. Another afternoon, I concentrate on the muscles at the back of my neck, and I go back again into the life of a reptilian, which I was in a past life. That time, a green kind of dinosaur, again with 4 hands, with 4 fingers on my hands and 4 toes, in a kind of African savanna type of setting near a river. And I know that I'm there with a whole army of green reptilians, and I'm their leader, like their commander, if you like. All this is only part, but part and parcel of all the experiences, experimentations, and feelings and sensations I can collect when I connect to different parts of my head or around my head and my brain. Now, the brain today, as I said, is extra human. The brain has power to manipulate energy, to actually beckon energy first, then manipulate energy, as all the people who, like me, use bioenergy to heal and to live and do many, many tasks. But again, this is just another way of saying we just have so much to our brain we ignore, and we should really, really get going. Now I have more notes here. I have already said. Now, talking about the brain and how we use our intelligence and the way we get information, for example. Now, Dmitry Mendeleev, the Russian scientist, received this table of elements, but 4 out of 116, I think they're all, in a dream. So this is the message he got, and he got them in the right order, and everything was fine. And those he hadn't actually got, there were empty boxes in the table that were already there. That's saying how precise it was. French gold maker Nicolas Flamel received his revelations, as it were. He saw himself in a dream as an alchemist in a library and in an old house where he would find the secret how to make gold from lead. And they survived, you know, they just actually did this, and this actually survived to this day. People still believe that and live on that and are still hoping to find the recipe that was lost after his parting. Nicolas Flamel is supposed to be still alive, apparently, and for those people who haven't followed my show yet, you know, gold is supposed to make your life not only better as health goes, but older people who have a lot of gold or who apparently eat a lot of gold. This is how humans were created on Earth by aliens who wanted to get more gold to live better and older. It makes you, you could live forever apparently on gold. Only it's a bit of an expensive hobby if you ask me. But
yeah,
there
that's an expensive taste, isn't it?
now, Russian composer Dmitri Shostakovich heard music in his head, just like Ludwig van Beethoven, who was deaf, by the way, but he heard music in his head. German scientist Kekulé had the vision of the arrangement of the circular hexagonal molecule of benzene. Now, benzene in English is petrol, the petrol you put in your car to run. We don't know where Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart got his skills from. He was just like this from a very, very early.
I was going to mention that one because
he was just something amazing. We don't know where he got all that. He just literally did not have the time to learn what he knew. No. Same goes for Leonardo da Vinci, who virtually never studied, and yet, you know, he was the genius we know. Some animals, like ants, for example, and a lot of aliens actually operate on a kind of collegial mode. That is, all their brains, they have like a cosmic brain, which is connected. They cannot have one thought without all the others being aware and hearing it. And it's really, really amazing. Now, humans cannot do that because they're all individual. They have their individual thoughts, and they cannot do that. But apparently, it would be beneficial if we evolved and actually developed that kind of thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, one last but not least things I'm going to tell you tonight is there are actually animals which have no brain. And they have been around, for example, like octopi for, no, not octopi, sorry, what is the word for them? Jellyfish, yeah. Coming back to me now. Jellyfish have been around for 400 million years. They have no brain. Yeah. Other animals like the octopus have several brains that operate together or in turns. I should also say that the dolphin uses one half of the brain, exchanging them in turns while he's sleeping, which enables him to actually sleep underwater and not drown.
That's amazing.
It's really really amazing. Yeah, John, go on.
There's the jellyfish, the one what's apparently naturally immortal, as in I forgot which one it is. Portuguese.
That is one of them that is considered to be immortal. But to be immortal, just a minute, everyone. I'm going to write this up in my notes before I forget them. The jellyfish, yes, but like all animals, all living animals and plants that can actually reproduce, not by giving birth either way, whether inside their own body, like humans, for example, who procreate, or eggs like fish, all the reptilians, whether fish, whether snakes, whether birds, who reproduce through producing eggs. I mean, humans produce eggs inside their body. Those animals produce them outside their body, and then they hatch them, and until when they're ready for actually having their own life, as it were. all the animals that can reproduce by a kind of cloning. For example, the hydra, if you know what a hydra is in water, the hydra actually grows hydra from its own body. It grows other hydrae. And this is really amazing. And this is the way those new hydrae, as it were, are actually copies of the original one, like they are actually cloning themselves that way.
Yeah.
This is really, really amazing. Now we know, for example, that the common earthworm we all have in our gardens and our fields, for example, and some snakes, you can cut their tail or most of their body, and then they will regrow that part, like salamanders, for example.
Yeah.
They will do that. It's really, really amazing. There's so much we have to learn, you know.
From nature,
it's really, really amazing how we can do. There is... now we human place ourselves at the top of creation, even before God and His Son told us what we were and where we came from. But we're not at the top of creation. We are in a good position, but that doesn't mean we're at the top. We don't know what it is. Now, there was a new discovery that appeared, I think, about 15 years ago now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we call it the blob. It's actually called the Physarum Polycephalum. This is a creature we don't know. It actually develops and evolves in space. So horizontally on some surface, wherever, on the ground, underground, even sometimes under the leaf in forests, in the leaves in the forest, or on trees even sometimes. It's really amazing. Nobody knows how it works. It has no brain, and it's got quite a happy life like this, apparently. We don't know anything more about this, although it has been very, very studied. We talked about NDEs, John and I, at the beginning of the show. Now, experiences with NDEs actually show us that the patient's conscious leaves the body, as it were, but comes back to it for the people who actually, some die through an NDE, but a lot of people are coming back to life. And we know that some people who are brain dead actually continue living. I mean, they wouldn't have a regular life like you and me or the guy next door, but I mean, their body actually lives, though their brain is dead. And well, that's it, peeps. Maybe you have questions. Thanks for listening. Anyway, it's been a little long.
One other thing, though, as well, I've heard they don't really know where they don't understand the storage of memory. They say they don't understand properly the storage of memory and the mechanism. So just like all those things you've said as well, like these things that people just don't know about the brain fully. It's and I find that amazing because, like you said, we've been looking at the brain for a long time, and it's still a mystery in so many ways. I mean, I find that amazing.
We know next to zilch about our own brain. This is, this is what it boils down to eventually. Yeah, exactly, John. Couldn't agree.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for comments.
Being so patient.
There's a few up there as well. So Jesse always looks at them. We do. Hi, Chantel.
Hi, Chantel.
And also another one, Jesse. When it comes to neurological disorders, there's the fact they've had a look at, and I've been looking at this. Some cultures, maybe through diet, have less per population than others, and they're looking at beta amyloid, a protein-like plaque. What goes into brain builds up and can cause these like neurological disorders. And then in some countries where they have, like in India, where they have turmeric and other spices and herbs, in the foods, and also the diets in Japan and such, they have less of these issues compared to West. And I was looking at it, and like turmeric is definitely highlighted as one of those things what can help. But I find that amazing, because what we eat and everything like that, it's going in as blood, and it's going to his brain, isn't it? So yeah,
more to the brain than meets the eye. Is what I'm going to say. Much more, so much more.
So, but I think that could be put on to something that we talk about, like nutrition or supplements and herbs, maybe. That I think that would be a great one, because
tell you the truth now, this is beyond the subject here, but I've been getting more and more interested in Ayurvedic medicine, like I said a moment ago, which is from India kind of medicine, because they really get a lot of amazing results. Now, on the subject, if people like to read more about this, I invite them to read the first books, the original, like 3, 4, 5 maybe books. He's written many now, books by Deepak Chopra, who is now an American, but he moved out of India to go and work as a surgeon, I think, in America. He's changed a lot now. He's gone into a lot of things. Well, I wouldn't go into that. But the first books he ever wrote, I mean, like the first 4 or 5 books he ever wrote were really amazing, and he shared his life, his experience, explaining how, as a modern and Western world kind of trained Indian physician and surgeon, he eventually went back to his roots, as it were, going back to Ayurvedic medicine and how he's treated that, and more spirituality, etc. Now, I think he's a bit off his rocker now, but he's done a lot of good work in the past. His daughter is also has also moved into the field, Malika Chopra. I haven't read her yet, so I'm not going to talk about her, but she's getting involved with that sort of thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a subject, and I think it's going to help us if we get into understanding that more and more, especially in West, where there's kind of a disconnect with food and health and nutrition and such. I think it'd help a lot of people. Definitely.
Well, yeah, exactly, John. I couldn't agree more with you. Now, we've been talking for the past 30 years about globalization. We're not globalized at all. You know, we've never been so separated, one culture from the other. We know nothing about. I mean, I've lived in, as you know, people who follow me know that I've lived in many countries, languages, and religions in my life, and I'm going to die trying, continuing that way of life as much as I enjoy it and enjoy learning from those people. We've never been so far from one another, you know, and we're supposed to be in a global world. Now, this is complete nonsense. It's just like the same as I always say, hi, Julie. It's the same for people who will tell you, you know, we're progressing. We're not progressing. We're regressing like mad.
Yeah.
You know, we've never been regressing, and faster and faster. John, I think we have a few questions pending there. What do you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Irene.
Oh, yeah, Irene mentioned one about Japan not doing as much cloning anymore, but they're looking at making organs to replace cancerous organs now.
We hear, sorry, John, we hear a lot here. I don't know. Now, Irene, you can correct us on this, but we hear a lot through documentaries we get here in Europe, and certainly in Europe, about how the Japanese are really, really going, and they've been going for that for a few decades now, for robotization of so many things. And why not, if it can help humans? And I mean, we have heart transplants, you know, for people who cannot have a heart. They have a mechanical kind of heart, and still working on it, still pushing further the limits, you know, of technology and helping humans. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, definitely. I know
the Japanese, they do, yeah.
With replacement, the difficulty they had were damaging red blood cells as it pumps.
It's a difficult business, yes.
And I think they found one what's cylindrical, and it spirals the blood around, and it does less damage apparently. I watched a documentary on that, and
Yeah, I've watched a few, and a lot of them were about actually how the Japanese work on this. Thanks, Irene. Wayne, possible the genius people in the world like Tesla had downloads from spirit. They did not have downloads from spirits. They had downloads from aliens, Wayne, and I'm one of them. And you could be one of us, actually. There's no anybody can apply and go for it. But that goes with developing the brain also and spirituality, because this is how we reach out for them and they reach out to us.
Yeah. I mean, I find that. Yeah, I find it amazing, especially how it's like the spurts in like intelligent downloads at certain points in human history.
I have a good example. Now, maybe I've talked about this in previous shows, John, but I have amazing nights. Now, I probably talked about it in the programs we had about about what goes on while we're supposed to be sleeping. But I have amazing nights. Now, every night, for people who haven't heard this yet, every night at exactly 2:51 in the morning, I get woken up by aliens downloading me, different kinds of aliens. I thought there was one kind who are actually family to me. I recently learned, again, through my work with Stefan, that they were actually more than one race of alien who was there, but they were also reptilians. I'm a reptilian, and they're also family to me. But and there are apparently other races. And every night, 2:51 on the dot, I'm awakened. Sometimes I cannot go back to sleep for the rest of the night, which is the best part of one of my troubles with sleep, my challenges and troubles. And I have this love and hate relationship with sleeping, everybody. Yeah. That's my life. That's the story of my life. Anyway, to come back to this, they are there. They download, reams, literally. Imagine a photocopier with reams of paper in there. I literally get reams of papers of information about nature, agriculture, ecology, and everything that's to do with nature. I get that every night. I mean, they are literally bombarding me with the stuff. And that's the first wave of aliens coming to me in the night. Then if I'm lucky enough to go back to sleep, then at 4 o'clock again, exactly, I get awakened by other aliens who come and do things with me, and sometimes they take me away somewhere in space or other, and they tell me things. And then again, if I'm asleep, because if I eventually fall asleep, it's around 7 o'clock in the morning. At 10 o'clock in the morning, I wake up again, and there are more and new ones out there, around me and doing things with me. And all in between those, I have a lot pouring in, coming, going, taking me, bringing me back, you name it. Wayne, has alien tapped into the spirit world? Well, Wayne, to cut a long story short, I would say that spirits are literally the name for aliens in many cases. There are spirits in many, many forms. There are aliens in many, many forms, but very often what people call spirits in their own life, or guardian angels, for example, are actually aliens, or totem animals also. So there's a lot to be said there. We had a question from Annette, I think. John, can you find it somewhere? Or Sue Cook also. I think Sue is around and she had a question at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, just looking through it. No, I think it's been a great debate today, like always. But it's really interesting.
Oh,
the recessed negative blood type thing.
Now we have Annette back, John. She was talking about blood group.
Yeah.
This is a very, very another one of those ever exciting, ever wondering, ever bewildering subjects we may tap into, and happily to, as far as I'm concerned anyway. And blood group, apparently negative, and especially O negative rhesus blood groups are alien. Now this is really interesting because my father was one. And my father had a good connection with aliens. I only realized it too late. He had gone by then. He was dead. And my father died really rather young. He died, he was only 55. He had major issues with his health, really big issues, mainly with his heart, for example. I talked about his 2 strokes and being paralyzed halfway down the body, all one side was not working at all. And but he was one of those. Yes, apparently there is a book, now the name escapes me at the moment. I actually got it as an audio book and listened to it a couple of times, that talks about this. Yes, people who've been clever people who've been researching into the matter and realize that some part of the population in some areas, for example, there is a part that is between northwest Spain and southwest France, where people who live there are called the Basques. Now, the Basques are people who have their own language, which is a non-European language. We don't know where they come from. They have their own culture, their own language, and apparently most of them are O negative, which is really amazing. And they've been connected to amazing stories. I love the blood group therapy. Oh, now, yes, okay. Well, Annette, you may be an alien if you're an O negative yourself. Now, this is not my field of command, so I would not go very much into this, as I haven't really researched into that yet. I've researched into only about a few million things, but not yet. I'm trying to follow, everything and everybody. Like I said, I listen to that. Some people will tell you, and I should say sell you, the fact that if you are this type of blood, you have this type of intelligence or of body or whatever. To be honest, I think there's a lot of codswallop in it, but I mean, that's only me saying here. Maybe there is something and I wouldn't know about it yet. If there is something, well, get moving and go for it and try and get your act together, whatever you've got that's going for you, go and flaunt it if you've got it, and good luck, and why not? This is why we're here, and this is what we should do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good message actually. Is with human brain. Just do what you do it. Expand it. Reach for different things.
It goes beyond that, John. As I was saying in the show, I mean, maybe I didn't make this clear, but I mean, it goes beyond that. I was a goer for the brain from minute one. I told you I was 10 years old, and I thought, okay, go for it, Jesse. I didn't wait for it to dawn on me. I actually went for it. And I thought, okay, you've got something to do. I read, left, right, center, top, center, bottom. I read everything I could find. Now, this was before the days of the internet. Now, everybody. Yeah. I had to buy books. I bought books. The money I spent on books, you couldn't believe. I went on trainings. Everything I could watch on television, for whatever television was back in the 70s. There wasn't much of television. We had very, very few channels and only a few hours a day, as best as I remember it. But, and a lot of the programs were not necessarily scientific or pedagogical, as it were. But I certainly went for it, and I'm still going for it. Sometimes I spend whole afternoons, all days, going all around YouTube, trying to find something, to find new books. I'm a member of Audible, which is the Amazon publisher of audio books. I'm a member of Audible America and Audible France. I receive a lot of offer suggestions. I buy a lot of books. I download a lot of books from them. I even go on YouTube, where there are also a lot of books and audio books and documentaries from many countries. Remember, I speak different languages, so I can follow information in a lot of languages, not just English and French, but I also speak Spanish, Italian. I follow programs in German. And so I get a lot of information this way because I worked, I work, I should say. I haven't stopped yet, and I think I will die trying anyway. But whatever, you know, I just literally never ever stop. Some of my friends, you know, who see me for the first time do this in the privacy of my own home. I may be watching one thing on television, for example, a documentary, then a film on the internet, for example, at the same time, listening to music at the same time, and reading and writing at the same time, and doing this in 3 or 4 languages simultaneously. I honestly don't know how I do it, but I've always I just irritate everybody and make everybody crazy about me when they walk into the room and I'm doing this, and you know, they just feel like they've just walked into another dimension, and there's another thing there that looks like Jesse, but who is certainly not the Jesse they think they know. But that's how I work. This is how I operate, and this is how I can get so many information. Plus, remember, peeps, that I have all those aliens who come and visit me all the time, all through the night, every night, you know, come rain or shine, I have them around, and I just cannot stop them. They're here as I'm talking to you. I can hear some of them, and the information and it just literally never stops. I'm sorry, Annette, you had a question. We just missed it. Can you tell us, John, what was Annette's question?
I'm the same. I have hundreds of books, and I'm permanently looking into everything. Yeah, I think that's great.
Why? My question, Annette, is why didn't I meet you earlier? Well, I'm glad there are people like you in this world, Annette, because the world needs more people like us, and anybody can join in the fun. This is really accessible to anybody who has a good heart and goodwill to do it, because today we can do it. I mean, even in the poorest country in the world, you have internet access everywhere now. And so you can get information. And as I said, you know, if you speak more than one language, you know, I mean, people who already speak English are really lucky, because most of whatever's published in the world, especially in the scientific world, is published wherever it is from in English. But I mean, there is, for example, one program that was done by a Spanish guy, a Spaniard from, he's a television reporter in Spain, apparently a big guy in the television world, in Madrid. And he's done this wonderful collection of 12 programs where he talks about the mysteries of the world, a little bit like your alien theory, if you like, but he's done with Giorgio Tsoukalos, which is really interesting in one way for many, many reasons I will not have time to mention here tonight. But he's done the same thing, but with other subjects, so it's really complementary. Since I'm talking about Giorgio Tsoukalos and his alien theory programs, Giorgio was born in the part of Italy that is Italian speaking, so he speaks Italian. Being a Swiss, he also speaks German, he also speaks French, he also speaks Greek because his family is Greek. He also speaks English. He's been living in America for many, many years now, probably 20 or 30 years or more. Correct me, Giorgio, if I'm wrong. And I heard him in one documentary actually interview somebody in Spanish. So he's one of those people who speaks languages. Remember, you know, when you're told things on television and they tell you, oh, in Japan they do this or they think that, you know, or in Warsaw, in Johannesburg is also English speaking, but in Asunción, for example, in Argentina, they say this and that. This may be completely wrong or completely false, and you wouldn't know your first word of Spanish to tell them, you know, how they're trying to manipulate you, or Japanese or whatever language, or Polish, or you name it. Whereas when you actually speak the languages, you know the people's culture. I mean, my Swedish, for example, used to be much better in the past than it is now, but I have Swedish friends and family. I can also ask for information, literally hands-on information. I can hear things from the horse's mouth, and I know that it's not some media trying to manipulate me, because those people are actually there living that sort of whatever, you know, at the time of speaking. Thanks, everybody. Do we have any more questions before we go?
No, there's some maybe in there, but we'll definitely have a look, and I'll tag you in, Jesse.
Remember, everybody, while John is looking, share, please, share on programs. You know, we're talking to the world here, maybe to the, I mean, I'm talking to the universe and other universes, but I mean, we could do a good job of starting with the whole world, the whole nation. You know, share us, please.
Yeah, thank you everyone for shares and comments, and yeah, we hope you have a great night, and we'll be back with another subject. We'll figure that subject out, won't we, Jesse? And
oh, I'm sure we'll come up with something. Yes, I never remain silent for a very, very long time on those subjects. Yeah, I think we'll talk about this offline, John. I have a couple of ideas and new ideas also. So I'll see how things are progressing. I have maybe we could do something on pain and treatment. I don't think I've done this in our shows here. Different kinds of treatments and pain, and why we get pain, where the pain comes from, and how we can handle pain. Because again, the aliens are here.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely. And yeah, thank you very much, Jesse. That was great. And
thank you all. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Stay tuned for more soon. Bye-bye, Philip. Bye-bye, John. Take care. We'll be talking soon. We're talking shortly. Bye. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.